First and foremost, again, I just want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. My name is Holly Barrett. I'm the Executive Director of the Omaha Downtown Improvement District. I am joined here tonight by a whole bunch of folks. I see a lot of my board members and some real important ones in particular. We also have some very important folks from the Old Market Association Board. And then there have been a whole group of residents that we've been working with over the last couple of months. A lot of you have banded together and really helped facilitate a lot of the things that are going on. I know that it's been a kind of a tumultuous process, but we're really thankful anytime anyone gets engaged, and we don't care if it's negative feedback or not, because anytime anyone is putting any thought and energy into a project down here, it helps us get it done. So I think what we're going to do tonight, I'm going to hop back up here and I'm going to kind of talk about our agenda. I'm going to talk about some of the folks that are here tonight and some of the things that we're doing. I'm going to give you a brief overview of what the Omaha Downtown Improvement District is and does. And then we're going to talk about the current situation with a little history and things that have happened. Then we're going to jump right into the really cool stuff, which is what has happened because of all of the action that has been taken and all of the thought that has gone into a lot of the needs that we're seeing. Then we're going to take a moment, we're going to answer questions about those things. And I'm specifically talking about some of the things a lot of you, I think, will be familiar with. A petition that a group of residents put together, issues that we have all been working on for years, but really been focused and purposeful on for about the last 6 months or so. We were not able to move fast enough for what they were needing, but what it did do was that it allowed us to gather all of the information that we really needed to be able to move forward. And now we've moved forward, and there's a whole bunch of really exciting things to talk about. A lot of funding sources that we have been able to tap into and all of that. And then after all of that, then we'd love to open it up. We know that there are always other issues and things other than some of the specifics that we're going to talk about. So we're going to have an opportunity. Right now, I sort of call it a parking lot, but it's a place where we can bring up other things, like anything from working with the homeless community to getting public art installed. So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about who is here tonight. Unfortunately, one of the most important people to this process, Krista Kraling, who is a young woman that many of our residents have been working with very closely in the last few months. She was going to be my co-presenter tonight. She is unable to be here. She's had a family emergency. Everything's okay, but she's not able to be here. So I apologize, but I believe that we're going to be able to still address everything, because basically what we plan to talk about all came from Krista's work. So for those of you that know her, reach out and tell her thank you for all of the work that she has done and all the work that she will continue to do. She is a property manager and she works with Sandy Downing. She works with multiple properties, residential properties down there in Old Market. The Old Market Association, we also have several of our board members and many of our businesses and obviously a lot of residents here tonight. And then of course my my organization, the Downtown Improvement District, we've got a whole lot of our board members here. My most important person, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see some faces here. My most important person is my board president, John Sova. If you would wave your hand. John has been a stalwart champion on the board for many, many years. He's the head of RDG down here at 13th and Harney, and he's just a really fantastic resource, both as an urban core architect and builder, and also as a community organizer. The Downtown Improvement District, I'm just going to give you a 60-second overview, because I think that that's not nearly as important as some of the other stuff that we're doing or that we're talking about. Or I should say, who we are is not as important as what we're doing. So who we are is an organization. We are funded by public assessments, or I should say by property assessments. All of you that are here tonight, except for the folks who are my employees, are all assessed. I am also an assessment payer. I'm a resident. I'm here in my home office at the Paxton right now. So I work with everyone from residents all the way up to our major property owners, our First National Bank, of which we have our representative, Tim Malik, who is also the head of our security committee. Tim, if you'd wave your hand. So we work with absolutely everyone. Our board representation encompasses every single one of these voices, and we do it in an equal way so that we make sure that everybody's voice is heard. And we try to be very, very purposeful about that. What we run into sometimes is that it is much easier to connect with businesses and less easy to actually get the names of our residents. We often just get an address. So these kinds of events are hugely important to be able to see your faces and your names and to hear directly from you, because often you are the group of folks that we don't hear from enough. The Downtown Improvement District's mission is pretty simple. We want to keep downtown clean, green, safe, and active. And we have committees that work on all of those projects. Our clean team, our clean and green team, of which we have our maintenance supervisor and our head gardener with us tonight. Colin Wynn is our maintenance supervisor. Colin, if you wave your hand. And Megan is our lead gardener. We have our pedestrian amenities committee, our security committee, and our activation committee. And we also have our activation chair, Joseph Gitter, he is here. Give us a little wave, Joe. I have all of the resources that I can show you our budget, which is minuscule, and we can talk about all of the things that we do within that budget. But the gist of it is that we have a five-person full-time team that's out there picking up litter and planting trees. That's not enough for what happens down here, but that's what we got, and that's what we can basically afford. And then the rest of it, we have money for equipment and a few plants and trees here and there, and then a few dollars to make sure that we're promoting the businesses. And then the rest of it, we try to find in various places. Our foundation, our grant writer, Katie Ledoux, is also here with us tonight. She's been hugely helpful in a lot of this. So a lot of the issues that have been brought up, I'm going to go back into our presentation here so that I can make sure we're getting to everything. A lot of the issues that have been really brought up in the last 8 to 6 months are issues that started happening in 2020 when basically everything sort of fell apart. What you're seeing, the reason we are seeing so much kind of extra issues right now is that in 2021, the Downtown Improvement District, which maintains many, but not all of the tree and flower beds, we didn't have a gardener on staff, and we were affected by the labor shortage just like everyone else. We couldn't hire anyone. It was awful. So we knew that that went bad. At the same time, we lost close to 80 trees downtown to the emerald ash borer. And all of those trees got taken out within such a quick amount of time that it was a real shock. When you lose plants and trees, those basic beautifiers, all of the rest of it, whether it's just a simple crack in a sidewalk or a street light is out or a trash can that's been dented, all of those things become more apparent. Everything just starts to really compound. So we're really in kind of a horrible whirlpool of having a lot of things happening at the same time and not really having the ability to do much about it, because again, our budget is very, very small. Our budget is less than $600,000 a year. And again, that goes into a 5-person full-time team cleaning and planting. And then the overages goes into much smaller things. Our organization is actually only responsible for cleaning up the curb lines. We're not responsible for the trees or the plants, but we have taken a lot of that on. We're not responsible for cleaning a lot of the sidewalks, but we do take a lot of that on. We're not actually responsible for cleaning the alleys, but we do take a lot of that on too. So that's where my organization really does a lot of seeking those small grants that are going to help us get things, everything from a power washer to a mule that's got a street sweeper on it. And then trying to find out those other funding situations. We were compounded by, a lot of you are down there in the old market. but we have these issues throughout downtown and central business district, where it wasn't just a loss of beautification. Suddenly we were seeing massive cracks and issues in sidewalks. And again, these alleys, which are often pedestrian spaces for us, a lot of the alleys were really starting to fall into disrepair. So that's sort of a current situation, was just that there was a whole lot of bad, and now we're trying to figure out how to fix it. The exciting part is that we have found a lot of ways to fix it. Again, I'm going to sort of reference a little bit the petition that went out, and I know that not everyone that is here tonight was a part of that process, but it was incredibly well thought out, very comprehensive. A lot of research went into it. Specific numbers were come up with, and a lot of things were highlighted that were absolutely in line with our mission, and things that we can not only help put into place, but then we can actually afford to maintain. And then a lot of the other things that we can help advocate for. So I'm going to talk about some of the major successes that we have had, and then we can jump back in and start answering questions. And I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but the question and answer part is going to be the biggest part, I think, of our evening tonight. So first and foremost, the trees and plants. Downtown Omaha's district is 75 blocks wide, and we are in the process. We have in the last year done a super comprehensive inventory that tells us exactly what we have, what we don't have, and what the opportunities are. So for example, if a tree has been taken out, but a stump has been left there, we've gone in and we've analyzed, if we take the stump out, is the well the right size? Is the soil in the right condition? Is the light the right way? Can we put a tree back in there? Once we've identified that we can put a tree back in there, then we move on. We've got this entire inventory put together, and now we know exactly what we want to do, and we are about to replant everything. So we have done this through a couple of different ways. First and foremost, the Downtown Improvement District is focusing the bulk of its budget into purchasing new plants, working with a contractor to help come up with a design that works for our maintenance team, which will be helping or which will be doing the maintenance and the bulk of the planting. We also work with our contract arborist to come and identify the spots for trees. And again, we have identified 80 spaces where we can put trees in. Our budget only covers 10 to 15 trees a year. However, we have gone to the city. Now, let me back up. The petition that was sent out from the residents went to the mayor's office and to our city council people. So they got together and said, this is not the right way to do this, but this is a need that has to happen. So what can we do? And I said, the community improvement funds, that kind of slush fund at the end of the year that goes out for infrastructure projects and things, this is what that money is for. And they said, that's a great idea. And our city council person just this week helped us sponsor an application for community improvement funds for a lot of different things, but I'm going to start with the trees. They are asking for $30,000 for us to be able to replant, to be able to de-stump the beds, recondition the soil if it needs to, and then put the trees back in. And I can tell you where all of these places are. We can share the inventory. We can do, all of the things that you need, but that's pretty exciting. The other thing that we said to them was that the alleys are in horrific disrepair. We went through and did a study a couple of years ago, an extensive study where that RDG actually did for us, where we analyzed everything that needed to be done and everything that could be done, and we identified phases and so on and so forth. The first and most important thing that needs to happen is that they need to be resurfaced. Everything needs to be taken back to an even level, and it needs to go back into the original state. There are some places in Old Market where the original brick side or brick alleys are still there. We want them to put them back exactly the way they're supposed to be. And then in the places where everything is uneven and different pavements, different asphalt, we want them to resurface it. They are asking for $700,000 to be able to accomplish that project. So both of those are in the works. Our city council person is sponsoring it. The committee that decides those funding opportunities, there are no city council people on that specific committee. But having gotten an application from City Council that has also been endorsed by the mayor's office gives it a pretty good thumbs up. So we're going to have more on that later, but that's the first and foremost thing that's really exciting. The third thing in the petition that was something that we could really help with was talking about fixing some of the sidewalks. In 2019, the city inspector came down into Old Market and did an entire district-wide inspection, and they issued 24 orders to have things fixed. So basically the way that process works is the inspector comes down, they find an issue, they issue a citation. That's not the right word, but that's the word that we use. And then the property owner has up to 5 years to either fix it themselves or contract with the city to come in and fix it. So there have been a lot of improvements that have already been done. 6 of those 24 orders that went out in 2019 have vaults underneath them. That's the hardest thing to work with in Old Market is the historic architecture, which is actually a whole floor below us. But the important thing is that 18 of these, many of them again have already happened, but 18 of them are about to go ahead in the spring. And I am going to touch on something real quick, but it's going to have to get put on the parking lot. A lot of you are seeing a lot of green paint on your sidewalks, and there's a lot of confusion about what that project is. We are learning more all the time, and today we discovered that it may not be related to the sidewalk improvements plans. It may in fact be a city sewer project. I don't have any more information yet at this point, but we will put it in the parking lot because I know there's a couple of people on the Zoom tonight who we've been talking about it today. So we'll definitely talk about that. So I think that I have talked enough about what all is happening. So what I would like to do is open it up for questions and see what else I can do to clarify on some of that. Unless any of my board members or anyone else. John, Tim, you have anything that you want to add to that long introduction that I made? Okay. All right. Does anyone have any specific questions about some of the things that I just talked about that were in the petition?
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, Holly. Thanks so much for your introductions and all your information. I'm curious, how far west did your alley study go? Because I swear our alley between Harney and Farnham and 16th and 17th is the worst in the downtown.
It is absolutely. Marilyn lives up there off the 16th Street corridor, and there are several alleys up there off 16th that are a mess. The alley project that we're talking about right now, that was specific for Old Market. And the way it was written, though, I think you and I have had this conversation. The way it was written, it's meant to be a template project that we can then put in our other places. And 16th Street, I know that it has felt like it's not coming. It is coming. The reason we were directed to not move forward with trying to do it up there just yet was that there was so much impetus to get the urban streetcar coming through. And as soon as that construction comes through, 3 blocks on either side of it are going to be having a whole lot of access to funding. And this project would be accomplishable up there within the next 3 years is what I've been told. So I know that a lot of times the things that I have to say are not what you want to hear. They are, I'm sorry, it's not happening yet, or they are, gosh, that's actually the property owner's responsibility. But what I'm always here to be able to do is to help connect those dots and figure out how to make it easier. So Marilyn, I know that was kind of a yes, no, but your alleys are absolutely on the radar.
And will the city pay for the entire repair with the streetcars coming through, or?
So that is a fantastic question. One of the reasons, and I didn't go into this enough, one of the reasons that we are asking for them to resurface all of the alleys, again, alleys are actually legally the property owner's responsibilities. However, in a situation like we have downtown, where we have many, many, many property owners right on top of each other, trying to coordinate with everybody to make sure that this all happened at the same time and in a timely manner, and that it didn't cost an arm and a leg, was going to be almost impossible. So we were asking the city to come in and do this basically for us. And yes, the answer is that since we are asking them to do this here, we will be asking them to do this there. And there, the funding here in Old Market, the funding will come from the CIP, which is basically a slush fund. That's not exactly correct, but it is basically overage from development projects the years before. The project moving forward to be able to do it as a cookie cutter up in the other alleys up there would be coming probably from TIF funds generated from the streetcar. As would all of the street widening, the sidewalk repair, all of those beautiful trees that got taken out. That whole area it has been slated to be redone. And I know that, again, that was been slated 16 years ago, but it is actually happening now. Again, I feel like a broken record having to say, I'm sorry that things don't happen faster.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Am I missing anyone? Well, why don't we, I'm going to jump back into the presentation. Why don't we move into kind of some of the current issues and things that people might be having? This is an opportunity to bring up any ideas, anything you're having. We've had some security issues down here that we've got some information on. We've got information on the Jean Leahy Mall and other fun things. So this is your opportunity to ask questions about what's happening in downtown, and also to complain and to ask questions that are not so nice. That's what this is for. So go ahead. Hey, Alan, I haven't seen your face in a long time.
Hey, Holly. I do have a question because for the last year and a half, I walk everywhere, which is awesome. But those salmon color plates at the corners.
Oh my gosh. Yes, the ADA plates that
And
are not ADA because they pop up.
They're terrible. Like many, and I don't know how many of them are like within your district, but they're so bad everywhere. Yeah, some of them are split, cracked, many are missing completely.
They are terrible. So in 2020, there was some sort of there was a problem with the supply company that makes those. And whatever it was, they shouldn't have been sent to states in the Midwest, was what Public Works was telling us. They just redid all of the ADA plates down in the entire Central Business District in the last 3 or 4 years. And every single one that was installed, other than 2 or 3, has popped up again at this point. And it has something to do with our freeze thaw and the way we do snow removal, which in downtown is not very efficient. So they are horrible. The best thing that you could do would be to report individual ones. And this is actually a general comment to everybody here. The mayor's hotline, Christina, if you could put the mayor's hotline up in the chat, that would be great. And then, and at some point here tonight, we're going to share a whole bunch of resources and links and things that will make sure everybody who's on here gets them. The mayor's hotline is the very best place to report those kinds of things. And the more people that report things, the better. If it's a street light that's not working, or if it's even if it's anything small, those plates in particular, those are a really big deal. The hotline records all of those things. They get sent out to the various departments. The more information you have, the better. If you can give them exact locations, hey, this bike rack got run into by a car, or this bus stop has been vandalized. That is the best way to get those kinds of things out. And again, the more people that complain about things, that even if they're the nasty issues, that's what that hotline is for. And we have heard the mayor actually say that she pays attention to the number of people that have called the specific questions or that have brought up specific issues. So if 11 people call about a tree down, they're going to get out there faster than just me doing it sometimes. So that's a long answer, Alan, but the truth is They know that they're all bad. They are in the process of replacing them. But it took them a year to replace all of them the first time. And unfortunately, within 6 months, they were all popping up. They are very dangerous. I can't walk and breathe at the same time. And I have been in danger of tripping over them. So yeah, that's a good one. Anybody else want to bring anything up? This is going to be a quick
We
meeting.
did have a question emailed in with registration regarding security at the parks.
Yes, thank you, Christina. That was a wonderful question. I don't know who sent it in, but it was my favorite question so far. The question was, with the Jean Leahy Mall opening, is there going to be more security presence? What is the maintenance plan for Mecca, specifically for dealing with all of the issues that we see down here in the urban core all the time? I'm looking out my window because I look out over the Jean Leahy Mall. And I'm very excited to see everything that's happening. Mecca has an extensive plan for maintenance, and they will be in charge of everything within the park. The park will have open and closing hours, which will be posted, which means that those hours will be enforceable. So there will be no one allowed in the park after 11 p.m. During the day, they will have a couple of rules posted. And again, it's when the rules are posted that they're able to be enforced. And the rules will be, no sleeping other than a quick nap. There will be no setting up camp, that kind of thing. People will be, the park will be activated all the time. There are games that are going to be happening, events that are going to be happening, food trucks, lots of things that are going to be scheduled that are going to be bringing the positive element down and I think probably keeping the less positive aspects of some things that happens in park out of the way. They also have a restroom, which will be maintained and have an attendant taking care of it every single day so that we actually have a place to send our visitors and residents to. And they do have a security team that will be in place, both a private security team and then working with the riverfront detail down here. Those of you who don't know us, the DID very well, the Downtown Improvement District also employs year-round daily private security. That looks like maybe 1 to 2 people during the week, upwards of 3 to 4 on the weekends. We also work with the off-duty police officers, and in the months of June, July, and August, and then a few times throughout the year, Halloween, St. Patrick's Day, New Year's Eve, the big party days. Then we have extra off-duty officers that we have thrown into the pool. So again, the Jean Leahy Mall is going to have its own private security force, and it will have rules posted and enforced. And I think it's going to be a better situation than what we had before. So are there other security questions? Because I know that we've certainly had a couple of run-ins with some things this last couple of weeks, which I can go ahead and just talk about. I also, let me see, I said Tim was here, our security chair. There he is. I can talk about a little bit of the stuff that's been happening down in Old Market. I think a couple of weeks ago, a lot of you were probably aware that there was a massive party that appeared to be happening in the middle of the road at 10th and Howard. Steve, I will answer that question in just 1 second. Christina, why don't you share, if you go on to the inventory link and open it up, then you can share that screen and we can talk about it because it's pretty cool. Anyway, neither here nor there. What happened was that there was a surprise incident at gate 10. They are generally speaking not one of the troublesome bars, but they had started to bring in the wrong kind of crowd and things got out of hand one night. And we had a couple of issues and it was right around St. Patrick's Day. So of course it was kind of that gray area that were these people just down here for a one-time thing. We heard maybe it was a family reunion. Then there was, kind of a one-off. The point being that the police department has been working very closely with the owners of all of the bars right down there. They have increased their camera presence. They also have off-duty officers that now are stationed down there. They've been working very, very closely to try to make sure that those kinds of things don't happen again. That is truly that 10th and Howard up to 13th and Howard. That is the heart of Old Market, and it is the largest tax generation in downtown. So it's clearly very important to all of us.
This is Judy. I'm a resident at the greenhouse. Will anybody from Heinz Mercantile Project be giving us an update on that, the project between Farnham and Harney and 10th and 8th Street? It looks great, but it's really significant, and there's never a news story about it. There's never anything about it, and it's just a ginormous undertaking.
It is, it's huge. We actually had them at the Old Market Association membership meeting a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I was there. I was in on that.
Oh, good.
Okay.
And we are constantly trying to work with them. They are very, very difficult to get in front of anyone, but they do have a fabulous presentation that they have put together. And I do think that what you saw at that meeting is probably about where they still are. I don't believe that anything has changed since then. But you're right, there haven't been any big media stories. I think they probably will soon. They are about to finish getting all of the various skins on the outside of the building that they have been doing. And they will start to be making announcements about some of the big vendors. They've got some pretty cool restaurant concepts that are going in down there.
I think it's just way more. I mean, is it actually, maybe you can answer this question, is it actually in the old market?
No, it is technically right on the edge of it. But because that whole area, Jobbers Canyon, should have been part of the neighborhood, they're trying very, very hard to be a connector to Old Market. They believe that their folks will be coming over here and that our folks will be going over there. And so they're trying really, really hard to be really great community partners. The promenade that they are building sort of in the middle of their space is going to be a pretty great little open space, green space, event space. We've got the fabulous farmers market right in the heart of Old Market, but they'll have the opportunity to do anything from small concerts and things to food events and things like that. So my cat executive assistant has joined us. I apologize. All right, so this is for Steve. Christina is sharing our inventory. This project, and Steve, I can answer any questions that you need on it. I apologize. Let me go in and make sure that I got all your questions. Okay, so right now the inventory is telling us the opportunities. So, and it also, if you click on things, Christina, why don't you click on one? Oh, there you go. So it's hard to see which one you're clicking on. I guess it doesn't matter. When you click on this, this is an interactive map. When you click on it, and right now this is being used by our designers and the city people, the Parks and Rec department, and so on and so forth, our arborists trying to figure out what all these are. It will say it's a green bed, a red bed, or a yellow bed. The green beds are the ones that are actually doing okay and that we are going to be putting new plants in. But that they are actually not in such horrific shape that we need to panic too bad. It's the red and the yellow beds that we're really going to be focusing on. Those are the ones that either have a tree stump in them and it needs to get cleaned out, or the wrong plants were put in. We went through a couple of years ago and stopped using annuals. We started putting in all perennials, and perennials just don't look quite the same. And there were some places where we put the wrong ones in and it just didn't work. So what you're looking at here is not an inventory that is going to say straight out what we're putting into it right yet. We are in the process of adding all of that information. But what this is right now is telling us where our issues are and which are the issues that have to get taken care of immediately this summer, and I should say this spring, and what can be worked on for the rest of the summer. So as you can see, it's pretty extensive. We've got a lot to do. Did that answer your question, Steve? Go ahead.
It does, for the most part. I live in the Ford Lofts, and we've got some beautiful trees to the south of our building, and I couldn't tell if you were planning on replacing those trees or not.
No, any tree that is standing and healthy right now is staying there if we can. There have been a couple of places where properties want to take trees out and put different trees in. Our arborist, who is a private arborist, and the city arborist both really do not ever want to do that. If a tree is thriving where it is, we want it to continue to thrive. If there's opportunities to put plants around it, that would sort of be where we're going from there.
Yeah, and that's where some of my confusion came, because virtually every tree in a several block radius around our building here has been removed over the last couple of years. Most of them just have stumps sitting there still, and they have the exact same icons as those that are on the trees in front of our building. So that's where my confusion came in.
Chris, you know what? I'll have to dig right down into those specifically, but the green icon means that it's ready to go as long as we get the stumps out. So I believe actually what you're seeing is that we are going to be planting trees where there are no trees. And
Okay.
and you know what? I don't want to just say that wholesale. Our arborists went through and spent a long time looking at every single bed, testing soil, looking at the light, and determined that there are a lot of tree wells that used to have trees in them that should never have had trees in them. So it would take either widening the bed or completely remediating the soil to be able to put a tree in. But there are a lot of places that do have stumps in them that are not suitable for trees, but that are perfect for plants. So there are some places where there's everything's going to have something in it, I guess is the answer.
Okay.
But if you have a healthy tree that's up and standing, those are not getting touched. Colin or Megan, our gardening and maintenance folks, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, we are, like Holly said, we're in the process of talking with the design group and getting a list of plans together and a design together, and should be, dealing with that pretty soon.
We just got it today, so we'll be moving on it in the next 2 weeks as far as finalizing the design. We just got all of the finals today, so.
Yep. It's looking good though.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to go back in and put up an important page. This resource page, if you go to our website, there is a page that is community resources. It has a piece of paper, it has a document called Who's Responsible for What? And that document really talks about Downtown Improvement District takes care of this, the property owner takes care of this, the city takes care of this. It answers a lot of questions. And for those that the questions are still in a gray area, we can call. We do a lot of trying to respond to things. One of the most important issues that I think I touched on in the very beginning is that we just don't plain have enough we don't have enough contact with our residents. So I'm really, really happy to see so many of you here tonight. These are all the kinds of issues that we can help work on. Things from who takes care of this bed in front of my building? Is it my building? Is it the building next door to you? Is it you that is it me, the Downtown Improvement District? We have those kinds of answers. We also answer, all sorts of questions. Again, anything from the homeless community up to how do I put a mural on my building? Because we are relatively small and because our budget is relatively small, we end up being more reactionary than proactive. And that sounds like a real negative thing, but it is actually quite a lovely place to be, because it means that when you as an individual calls me and says, I want this one thing done, I can generally get it done. So all of those big things, if I can't get it done, I can connect you with the people that can, or I can explain the process. And again, I know that sometimes I'm the devil's advocate and you don't want to hear the process, but at least I'm a nice smiling face giving it to you, right? Does anyone have anything else that they would like to throw out there? Any questions, issues? Nobody has even thrown anything horrible or hard at us. All right. Well, okay, go ahead, Chris. She's always good for a tough challenge.
I'm going to mute myself. So I just want to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. I am Chris and I am with Mercer Management. As you know, we are a major property owner down in the old market. and I work directly with Vera Mercer. And I just want to let everybody know, for any of our properties, we've been working diligently on getting a lot of our sidewalks replaced, working diligently on making sure that we have tenants in our buildings. And we have a lot of new things coming in the future. So of course, if you ever need me or need to ask me a question, you can always get to Holly and she can find me. And also one last thing, I'm the president of the Omaha Farmers Market. And just if you're not aware, the farmers market will be now moved back to its original location on our lot on 11th and Jackson, going towards 11th and Howard. So I hope to see all of your faces down there this year.
Thank you, Chris. We're super excited about the farmers market. And we just had an update at the Old Market membership meeting today that had a whole bunch of really fantastic new vendors and all of that. Speaking of, again, because a lot of you are Old Market residents, the best way to get involved at right there with your boots on the ground is the Old Market Association. They're a membership-based organization. So again, they don't have any money, but they promote and they talk and they again have the connections, and they are your first stop for figuring out what all of these things are, what all is happening and how do you get connected. There is somebody else here that I hope I'm not throwing to the wolves, but we've got a member of the mayor's office. Yesenia Valenzuela is with Valenzuela, sorry, honey, is with us this evening. She is our community relations person in the mayor's office, and she is sort of in charge of making sure that everybody is happy. And if they're not happy, what can she do to make it a little bit better? So she is here with us tonight listening in, and I don't know if she did just unmute herself. Would you like to say anything, Yesenia?
Oh, thank you, Holly, for that introduction. Yes, I am the community relations person. Sorry,
Don't
my
worry, we all
3-year-old
have
is
kids at
here and
home.
he's like, shh. But glad to be here in any way that I can support and help this group. I did see, some of the requests, that letter that came through, and I'm certainly going to update the mayor and our chief of staff about the meeting and report back. And sounds like there's a lot of moving pieces already, and there's some action happening to some of those requests already. So thank you, Holly.
Thank you. We also have another person. I apologize. I'm just seeing some of these names that are popping up. And I believe that Drew Kettler is a volunteer who has done a whole bunch of work just on his own steam. A lot of you live in beautiful buildings and you have HOAs that take care of the buildings right next to you, and then, or take care of your building, and then the building right next to you doesn't look so good. That comes down to that who's responsible for what. The DID does maintain a lot of beds, but we don't maintain all of them. And there have been a couple of places where we have been unable or unsuccessful in convincing the property owners to take better care of it. So there are a couple of you out there that I know that go out there and plant your own flowers and do your own beautification, and it's pretty fantastic. Oh, I see Daryl and Karen Blankenship, who are neighbors of mine in my building. She is also one of our building gardeners. So to those of you who are out there doing work for us, you're doing it for your whole community. And again, the Downtown Improvement District, you by ordinance, you have to fund us. We thank you for it. Our dollars don't always go into everything that you would like it to go into. But that's where these kinds of meetings are important. If you don't want to speak up now, please, please, please call our office, leave us a message, let us have a conversation so we can see what we can do, because the truth is that our reach is really, really wide, but we often need to know exactly where the issues are. Otherwise, we're out there picking up cigarette butts and trying to make sure that the streetlights stay on. So info, Christina just put it in the chat. The best email is info@omahadowntown.org. And then Christina will filter it through and send it to all of the right people.
Holly, we did have a question in the chat asking, are neighborhood volunteers needed?
Oh, thank you. Christine, thank you so much. That is a wonderful question. You know, there are always projects and things that are going on that could use a few volunteers. There are also things like the Sacred Seed Community Garden Project, which are always looking for new volunteers. With the new park opening and Riverfront, I think there's going to be also some other opportunities. Right now, we are still trying to figure out what the replanting of 75 blocks looks like, how much labor we need, what we can do. I do think that there are going to be some interesting volunteer opportunities. We haven't quite identified them yet, but there are definitely going to be things. So now that you have our contact information, please, we send a newsletter out every Thursday that has all of the events, and it usually has you know, something important that's happening. Either we're promoting something we're doing or a development that's happening.
I
so on
will
and so
I will
forth.
put a plug in for Urban Abbey. They have tend to do a monthly neighborhood cleanup. So maybe keep an eye out on their events too.
And we always publicize that as well as to when it's happening. So anybody that is interested in getting out and doing that, yes, there are definitely places where we could use some help. Anybody else? Go ahead, Marilyn.
Thanks for letting me speak a second time, but we're trying in our area with the new streetcar lines going up Fardham and down Harney, and you know, the new Mutual Tower and other developments now that have been announced. We have decided in this 16th Street corridor area to form a neighborhood association, which we've never had. You all have your old market thing. Well, we're trying to do one that's quite large. And if you have tips for how to locate all of the many residents and businesses and everything within this district, we're going 13th, where the old market leaves off, our side of 13th, all the way to 20th. And from Douglas to not Jackson, but what's the next one? Jones. And we're
That's
calling,
huge, Marilyn.
and we're calling ourselves the Orpheum Theater District Neighborhood Association, because everybody knows where the Orpheum is, right? So I would appreciate some help. I'm going to try to help organize this and get it going, but we've applied for the neighborhood association with the mayor's office and have gotten approval to go ahead.
That is fantastic. And when you first started bringing up this idea, I said, heck yes, we can help. Anytime. One of the reasons why Old Market is successful is that they do have their own association that does a lot of driving and promoting of their own things. So yes, the Orpheum Theater District, it will be a fantastic. We'd love to help work with you and help you get all of that information. So we'll do that. You know, Marilyn is also a volunteer. She helped me put up Christmas lights on 16th Street this last year. I mean, it's really fantastic when we have especially residents that just jump in and help, because it is a neighborhood down here. We sort of forget that it's a neighborhood because we have so many visitors and things. But I walk my dog on our sidewalks 4 times a day, and I love seeing people that I know. So. All right, let's see. Do we have anybody else that has anything else they want to? Okay. Well, again, please do not hesitate to reach out. Even again, if you didn't want to say anything here tonight, please call and ask questions, give us feedback, help us figure out where our priorities need to be. We're going to be replanting as many plants and trees as we can. We're going to be working with the city to identify funding to help do all of the infrastructure improvements and things that need to happen. A lot of those things are going to have to come back to the residents to make sure that we have the buy-in. Those of us who are residents down here, our assessments are the smallest part of these budgets. We get a lot of folks like First National Bank and the Mercer's property who feed the bulk of our assessments. However, we are the ones who live down here 24 hours a day, and we are the ones out there walking on the sidewalks and seeing everything. So our voice is very important, and I'm really glad that everyone's here tonight to be so loud. Even if you weren't loud, I was plenty loud. Sorry, John, I talked. John, do you have anything that you'd like to say before we close out?
Holly, I just say, sorry, thanks, and glad everybody could attend. We appreciate the input. As Holly said, the phone's always open, or the door's always open to give us as much feedback as you can. And we try to put those items and issues in our strategic plan every year. I guess my summary is that after a couple of years of places being shut down and dealing with the pandemic, we hope that the balance of 2022 and 2023, you'll see some significant work done by the DID, and there will be a lot to celebrate with the new mall and the Riverfront Park later on in 2023. There will be some new experiences in downtown for at least the next couple of years, I think, for sure.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool time to be down here. So I know that there's a lot of burdens, you as property owners, there's a lot of burdens for being down here because you're taking care of a lot of people that you don't have into your houses. But that is the price we pay to be 5 minutes from our favorite restaurants and the best museums and theaters. And so, so here we are. Let's work together moving forward. Let me know if what we need to do, and if there's anything that we need to do better. We know there's lots. Be nice. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was recorded, so if anybody would like it, let us know. We can get it to you. Again, go to our website. That resources page is really pretty fantastic, especially if you have random questions about, well, who does take care of this particular spot, and other things as well. So I guess that's it. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful night. Go have a snack or a cocktail and enjoy yourselves.